Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. To my left, I've got the one and only Matt.
The only one who does it. Yeah, you're right, Dan. How are you? Not
Ah,
too bad.
very well, you.
Yeah. We're just discussing the weather and all that, and the lack of anything good happening for almost 2 weeks now. So hopefully, it's all going to end tomorrow, and normal service will be resumed, and the sun will come out, and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully the sun comes out and we get 3 points tomorrow.
Absolutely, yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? They can all go down the beach afterwards and get their 99s in, and everything else. Get the
Yeah,
old inflatables out and whatnot. So, but yeah,
well,
the 3 points more importantly. Let's keep it real. So, yeah, big day in Blackpool for a lot of Forest fans.
yeah, I mean, it's becoming that sort of tradition. Everyone goes up for the weekend, go watch football, and go on a night out.
Well, yeah, I went to see him years ago when I was living in the States. Came over and had to race up. Literally, we got there with about 3 minutes to spare from the airport, all the way up from down in I can't remember Heathrow or Gatwick, one of the two. And that was the 4-4 game, I think.
Ah,
Memorable game. Britain, yeah, fantastic. So I've got fond memories of Blackpool and just remember the
yeah,
crappy little ground and all that kind of stuff. So I'm sorry I won't be there tomorrow, but it should be fun anyway.
yeah. How do you feel going into the game tomorrow?
Well, it's big three games, isn't it? I mean,
Mm.
just say we got big game middle of the week, and then the one after that, the next two home games. This is a springboard to, you'd probably take a point realistically, just bag it and hope to win the next two. But if we can win, which I think we've got every opportunity to, we'll be well set, won't we?
Yeah,
Win tomorrow, win the game in hand. We'll be right in amongst them. Win the next one, and we'll be well set. That's 30% of the running done, full marks. So it's there for the taking, isn't it? I mean, we all know these are the situations where it can go the other way. You've had a break. We get a draw. Let's say we get 3 draws. Crazier things that happen. Then the boot will be on the other foot, and we'll be looking over our shoulders and having to do a bit more work. But I don't know. Hopefully, Coops has kept them all primed and ready to go, and they're all going to be at it first minute to the last tomorrow, and put in a performance, get the points, and take it from there. As usual, one game at a time.
definitely. I mean, we got all our internationals back scratched and that, so we've bar the usual injury suspects. We should be fully fit for the Blackpool game.
And some of them are coming back, aren't they? I hear Grabs is starting to kick a ball again and looking pretty, pretty fit considering. And Lavea had a good time, and as did Spence and Garner and whatnot. So did them no harm, I imagine. So even Draga had a successful time, which I was Forest were fanfaring about, which I was kind of surprised. But take it where you can. So yeah, hopefully they come back strong. And like you say, they've a few of them have been out, and we're starting to hopefully see some of the guys who have been injured start to get fit again.
Yeah, I mean, we never know actually to be fair. And Super Cooper might spring us a surprise with one of them tomorrow.
Well, yeah, you never know. I mean, and the other thing is, I haven't actually looked at my diary because of the time differences and all that. But old Horvath's playing sort of late in the day, isn't he? So I don't know when he's played or when he's, if he's going to get back or whether that's going to impact anything. But there were some people saying, "Oh, maybe this is Samba's going to get a game because he'll be jet lagged or whatever." But we'll have to see, won't we?
Yeah, well, Thursday morning when you played in our town.
Yeah.
So obviously got to get back. So you're probably going to be probably last night, this
It'll be
morning.
the coach trip that kills him, though, won't it? That's what always
Yeah,
happens.
yeah,
So, I don't know. That'll be interesting. You imagine Coops will go with his sort of favoured team and pick the sort of Davises and so forth, but he might not. I would have thought he's going to go for his so-called strongest team to start the game tomorrow, try and sort of protect them, and with view to the rest of the week. I'd still like to see Larea playing the left back and Cole back in the midfield, but I don't think he wants to make that decision. I don't think he wants to drop any of those midfielders. And obviously seems a bit reluctant with old Larea, doesn't he? But, I'd like to see him get a game. Tomorrow could have been one of those occasions, although realistically, I don't see it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, with the form of the players, it's hard to get him in. I mean, obviously people tried and tested with Colback being at left back. I mean, it just one of them ones where you think, could he put Colback in there and play Leo at there? I mean, they did quite well then to pull that back forward to say, Fig played 2 games in 3 months, Colback not played in a long while.
Yeah, well, playing your sort of second position and so forth, you're keeping out internationals going to the World Cup. It's kind of a bit ridiculous. You're playing against one of the best teams in the world. He can do a job. He's a good professional, but it's a bit of a waste, I think. But if you're not going to play him when Lowe's out, when Lowe's fit, he's never going to get a sniff, is he? So it's kind of an opportunity to play him. I mean, you don't want to, just play him for the fun of it and sort of just hope it goes okay. He's got to be good enough, but he looks like he knows what he's doing. So, in a back with a back 3 behind him, 3 centre halves anyway. You think how weak can you be defensively for that to be an issue? So I don't know. You have to say you don't think he's going to stick to his favoured players, and the only ones you maybe wonder about is Lolly coming in for Zink possibly, and a slight tweak to the layout. Is he going to keep Zink? I don't know, because he's the only guy that really isn't enjoying his football as much as he might do at the moment, I think. But the team virtually picks itself. It's hard to drop anyone, like you say.
Yeah, I mean, even when you got the people that come off the bench, like Surridge, Gaffrey, I mean, they're
Silver
making it.
Yeah, you've got real options, haven't you? Like you say, Cafu, he's played so well off the bench. You kind of want to use that, and you want to, maybe these 3 games he will sort of rotate it a little bit and pick some of them to start games, or at least give the others a bit of a rest. So maybe pick Cole back, but only play 60 minutes and plan to bring on one of the others in his place, regardless almost of what happens, just to keep them all fresh. But yeah, let's see. He seems to be, the more he's at for us, he seems to like his formula and tends to stick to it, doesn't he? He makes up his mind. It takes quite a lot to change his mind from it. So, and it's successful, so you can't knock it.
No, that's the thing. I completely agree with you in that one. It's successful, so why would you change what's...
No, people get sort of like, I want to see this guy play. I want to see that guy play. Well, go down the park or whatever. We're trying to get promoted, and he's doing a good job. You don't mess about with it for the fun of it, do you? And drop. It's a good philosophy to have. If you're in the team and you play well, you'll keep your shirt as long as you keep playing well, and then you're almost guaranteed the team's going to play well, aren't they? So they all want to play, and that's the rules. So Lolly's done fantastically well when he's come in, I thought. So he's knocking on the door hard. And all, like you say, all of them really. Like you say, Surridge, Silver, Cafu, definitely. They've all done well. So I guess some of these other guys, they just want to have a sniff, don't they? They want to have their chance to show that they can potentially step in. But yeah, it's nice with sport for choice. And again, with like you say, Graben getting back to fitness, he's going to have a hard time getting picked. Be interesting. Again, it'll be interesting to see. It's a similar scenario to the Colback one, where you've kind of lost him from his favoured position, and do you bring him back immediately because he's the senior guy, he's the captain, and all this kind of stuff? Do you just put him straight back in? Dare you? I don't know. It's a nice problem to have, though.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when he is fit, and then you got Davies who's playing well, Surridge playing well. There's some point that, I mean, back in my head, I'm thinking, can Graben get into that 16, 18 man squad? That's the only thing that you got to think about now. It's like, would he get back into the squad?
I think we played differently with Brabham, not necessarily worse, but I think and it's funny, it's a paradox really, because he does link up kind of well, but I think he's more of a goal hanger poacher. He's kind of a passive kind of player, completely the opposite of Davis, who seems to want to get involved every opportunity. So I think the whole team functions better with Davis, all things being equal. But if you've got like Fulham away, those kind of games, maybe that's I don't know. It's like plan A and plan B, isn't it? In a way, I prefer them, beat them at football, play as much football as possible, rather than the sort of the poacher kind of thing where you just close the game down, which I think is more Graben's game. But you're spoiled for choice, aren't you now? And how many times can you say that where you've got we rarely have had one substitute striker you felt confident about bringing on. Now you might have two or even three players that you think are going to change the game, with the likes of Lolly and even you're going back to people like Cafu. But the strikers, the obvious guys, we've got lots, haven't we?
Yeah, definitely it is. It's a nice problem to have. Obviously, with Blackpool, obviously we were after Josh Bowler as well in January. I mean, we had that many bids rejected. We must have wanted. We couldn't get him.
Yeah, it's like when I go and try and use my credit card. Sometimes I keep going, try a different one. Yeah, we kept trying to buy him, and then in the end, it didn't go through. So yeah, he looks a handy player, but I can only imagine he's probably planning on a free transfer at the end of the season and boosting his bank balance a little bit. So maybe we'll pick him up at the end of the season for nothing and pay him a little bit more money, and that will suit him and it will suit us. But he might have missed that bus because it might be on the way to the Premier League by then, and we might think he's not quite good enough for that particular job.
Yeah, not on the Cooper bus. It's on a open top bus.
He might be on a Blackpool donkey instead of a bus if he's not careful on the beach. Yeah, but anyway, who knows? It's going to be an interesting last 10 games of the season, and hopefully, 13 games.
How many points do you think we could get at this last 10 games?
Well, rule of thumb, I think we're going to get around 20, aren't we? Don't you think? I think ever since Cooper's come in, it's 2 points a game. I'd like to think we're going to, despite the injuries, do a little bit better and get a point or two more. So maybe, you could write it down on paper in the order you like, but we're probably going to end up with 20, 22 points or something like that. Maybe, you hope. We've got a couple of tough fixtures. They might be semi-meaningless when we play them. Obviously, Bournemouth away could be an interesting one. And, Fulham stand out, obviously. But we've got a lot of them which are going to be fairly meaningless mid-table type games. And you'd like to think you win those. But you're going to get funny results at the end of the season, aren't you? Yeah. I just, I'd like it to go to plan. I think it will. I feel like it will with Cooper because you know, now you look back at those funny games where we didn't turn up, and you wonder, how did they ever happen? Because they're so out of character. And hopefully we just don't live to regret them. Because if we hadn't had the Houghton points deduction at the beginning of the season and we just had one or two less of those games, we'd be sitting in the top two, wouldn't we?
Mm. Oh yeah, definitely.
We'd be well in the playoffs. We'd be top two, really. Because it's still people still say it's possible. I mean, realistically, it's not really, is it? I mean, if we win the next three and they lose a couple of them, then maybe it'll look a bit different with us playing them coming towards the end of the season. But all things being equal, it's not likely to happen unless things take a sharp turn for the better in the immediate future.
That's a good thing as well, because we have got Fulham, Bournemouth, Luton, Coventry. West Bromwich to see count them in a little bit. There's a couple of games where you think, we are playing the playoff contenders, which it could work in our favour, because if we do get points out of them, you'd be like,
well sorted. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's true actually. When you put it down on paper, like you said, you just said 5 or 6. Half our games should be winnable. We should win them. If you win them and you draw the others, that's it, isn't it? That's your 2 points a game, basically. So if we draw against the good teams and beat the ones you fancy beating, that's how it will work out. But, like the Coventries and the West Broms of this world, they might not be, a couple of games down the line, things might look a little bit different, mightn't they? One way or the other in either direction. So, you got to sit down and scratch your head quite hard looking at all the fixtures, who's playing who and all this kind of stuff. Because we were just saying, like, Luton playing a lot of the top teams. So they're either going to smash the league up and be comfortably in the playoffs and whatnot, or they're going to be out of it. And who the hell are they forgotten about in 3 or 4 games?
And that's also Luton, and they have got teams playing up there, and they're not at the blip, as I call it, or they're not really like been tested to the point. I mean,
the psychology changes, doesn't it? Yeah. It happens to us as soon as we get in the playoffs. We always go, "Oh, in the playoffs," and then we, you can guarantee we're going to drop points or get games postponed or something's going to happen. Yeah. But we always kind of just sort of touch the playoffs and then end up slipping out of them again. So, I don't think it's an unhealthy place for us to be on the fringe of the playoffs, trying to get into them. But hopefully we're going to power into them and we're going to be sitting, we're going to end up sort of comfortably 4th or 5th or something like that. It's in our hands, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It is in our hands.
It's all you can ask for, isn't it, at this stage of the season? I mean, who would have thought it before? So,
That I mean, I remember having a conversation, I think it was the Cardiff game, at home, saying that, we've got to be thinking about mid-table and all that, staying up. And now, rolled on to now, it's like, the possibility of getting up there.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. I mean, people saying top 2 is a little bit ambitious, but people can seriously suggest we could get in the top 2, which is incredible, really, considering the head start we gave them. So, you can't complain at all. 7 or 8 games in, you're a complete lunatic if you seriously thought we really had a decent chance of getting into the playoffs. But they've done fantastically well. And, if nothing else, even if we don't make the playoffs, we'll be, confident about what we can do next season and stuff. But, we should. We really should at this point. It'll be a disaster if we don't get into the playoffs.
That's the main thing. I do agree with that. I really do.
We got it. The fact he's playing so well, you feel confident, don't you? You feel like we could start every game a goal down and we still should be able to do it. Just because we're going to approach it in the right way. Unlike Sabri, where it was the opposite, and you felt like, well, you're asking yourself to be beaten. But I think Cooper's going to go and grab it with both hands rather than wait for it to land in his lap. So,
amount of times we came from a goal down this season. To either draw or even win the game, it's like that cliche of we gave everyone that at start and we're catching up.
Yeah, that's what a good team does, though. It's like when Leeds went up and stuff like this. You say, "Oh, lucky blighters! They've scored so many late goals, and you can't believe it." And they've had penalties given or saved or what. Everything kind of gone for them. Obviously, the fact it does gives you the points, which de facto you're top of the league or whatever. But we're a team that are capable of winning games now on our terms, sort of thing. So when the chips are down, when the gloves are off, and you do a Lee Wood and you knock them through the blinking ropes, and that's what we're doing now. So whereas before we couldn't. With using it was like you didn't have any boxing gloves. You had little sort of mittens on, and you had to sort of savage them with your mittens, sort of thing. So now we're a team to be feared, aren't we? I mean, it's true, isn't it? Though, really. It's and that's the thing, and you won't always win. But if you've got something for them to be wary of, you've got a puncher's chance. So, but we're better than that now. I think we're playing for the 90 minutes more often than not, and we're winning the games.
We are. What's your score prediction for tomorrow?
Well. We always say 2-1, don't we?
Yeah.
I think let's say 2-0. I think we could win tomorrow. I think we should win tomorrow. If I was putting money on it, I think I'd put money on 2-0. Who knows? I mean, these days, you expect to win every game, though, don't you? So, let's say 2-0. What about you?
2-0 sounds really good. 2-0, 2-1. I mean, it's the favourite
1-0.
scoreline on the channel.
Yeah, no, 2-1's because you always want to nowadays we do our sort of XG. We do expect 2 goals, don't we? Really, whoever we play against, we kind of expect it, and we kind of expect them not to score one. So people will score goals against you. It does happen. So 2-1 becomes the kind of favourite scoreline, doesn't it? So. But yeah, I expect us to win. I expect us to be on it and everything. But it's always a little bit dodgy, isn't it, after the break? So, you hold your breath a little bit.
Breaks as well. I mean, I was saying earlier that the international break does knock you back a little bit because you ruin the momentum, but then it could work in our favour because the players will be refreshed for the last 10 games.
And the injuries, because we had a lot of those injuries, and now it's they'll all hopefully start to come back. And again, look, we've accommodated that. I saw people were voting for their player of the season, and Colback wasn't in the top 10, which is incredible.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Can you believe that though? And I'm sure he's one of the first names on the team sheet, but in a way, why not? Because he's not the most glamorous player, and you had people like Lowe at number 10, which is kind of fair enough. You could all, and it was genuine. There was a lot of good players, and there was some other players who've done pretty well that weren't even featured. But when you get someone like Colback, who a lot of people could say was player of the season, or certainly in the top 2 or 3, and he's not even in the top 10, and it's not even that controversial, it just shows you what a good season we've had, and it's an incredible turnaround, and it's a real team effort. It's not just because Joe Lolly's on fire. You think if we had Lolly a few years ago, he was the best player in the league. He was on fire, totally won the league single-handedly. You say, well, we're going to be at the top in a couple of years' time, and he's not even going to be voted for in the top 10. And it's not like he's been terrible at all. He just hasn't played, and you've got that many good players. It's no wonder we're near the top of the league. No wonder we're sort of, very much a live sort of candidate.
Yeah, definitely. I do agree with that.
Well, let's hope we're right. That's the main thing.
Fingers crossed.
It's a bit boring, all these things, because we all agree now, and it's like, yeah, we're going to win, I think, again, and everything, and there's no sort of controversy about anything. It's very minor little tweaks we all are sort of debating. It's very unusual as a Forest fan to not have at least sort of half the team you think should be dropped and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's the thing nowadays. It's really, really good.
Yeah, no, it's a good place to be in. We could put out a couple of teams who'd be quite happy. We could put out a B team, couldn't we, if they're fit? But anyway, let's see.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you for Matt for coming on.
Thanks very much. Sorry for dragging it out at the end with the boring bit. But
it's all right, no worries. If you guys do like the content, I'd like to thank you for watching. Goodbye.